Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be going over a topic that you guys have asked a whole bunch about in live streams, which is essentially how you should be building your roster. So you can beat teams that have massively more threat than you as long as you have the right players on your team. So I've always said that you should have a tank, a DPS, and a support hero. So a tank's main job is to just soak damage, essentially. Like, if you can get a tank that does damage as well, that's great, but they don't make those in Injustice 2. They have tanks like Primal Swamp Thing, who essentially almost doesn't do any damage, but his stats for taking damage are huge. His health right now for a 3-star at level 43, he's got 5,700 health. Like, that is crazy. His damage, however, is really, really low. So essentially, Primal Swamp Thing is really good at tanking abilities, right? Tanking special 1s, 2s, ultimates. If he tanks an ultimate, then that wastes the enemy team's entire power bar, right? But he still doesn't die. First off, he may not actually even just die from the ultimate because he's got that much health. And second off, he can come back to life. That's his passive ability, right? He comes back to life after he gets knocked out. So him and Cyborg are really good for just tanking the specials or the ultimates or whatever you want to call them, and coming back to life and still being able to tag out and still be in the fight for later when they need to tank another set of abilities, right? Another kind of tank that's a little bit more useful because Cyborg and Primal Swamp Thing aren't so good at actually attacking, doing offensive damage, but people like Mythic Wonder Woman and Superman, who have that shield ability, Gorilla Grodd's another one, who have that shield ability, the bracelet block for Mythic Wonder Woman specifically is really good because it mitigates damage coming in and actually reflects it back on the opponent. So additionally, she also gets to do a lot of damage. Her passive ability allows her, when she knocks someone out, to steal their damage, 50% of their attack actually specifically, and use it against them, against the enemy team. So she's doing damage and she's taking damage. So she's half tank, half damage, right? The Gorilla Grodd and Superman aren't so good for offensive, but they are good tanks because if you look at just regular Superman here, he doesn't take damage from basic ability, so he's tanking damage again. Like, that's his main role, right? The problem with Mythic Wonder Woman is she doesn't have that much health, same with Gorilla Grodd and stuff like that, as much as Primal Swamp Thing at 5 stars. Primal Swamp Thing at 5 stars has the highest health in the entire game. So that is the tank class, right? Then you need to have a DPS heavy character, and that means damage per second. So which character does the most damage per hit or per ability? So we're looking at, for me, I always tag in Emerald Green Lantern as my DPS. There are better DPSs out there, like Marksman Deadshot actually does more damage than Emerald Green Lantern per regular hits and per abilities and stuff like that, right? Another good DPS is Arkham Knight Batman, because he just comes in, stun locks people using his special 2, and keeps on shredding them down quickly. Predator Batman, again, another DPS heavy character, because he tags in and immediately does massive damage to the enemy team. So those are the main ones. There's Blade Master Robin as well. He's a second tier heavy DPS character. He does a little bit less damage, but that's his main role, right? He gets his combo meter up quickly, and he's able to use his specials to do massive damage. So those are the main DPS characters, and you always want to have one of those on your team so that when a tank like Primal Swamp Thing comes in, you can jump in on him and start doing damage to him, because he's never going to die if you're not doing any damage to him. If you're just barely doing any damage, if you're poking at him, then you're letting him build up his special ability meter, which is a bad thing. You want to get them out quickly so they don't get more abilities and supers and specials, right? So you want to have one of those on your team. I prefer, my favorite is Emerald Green Lantern, because again, he is mainly a DPS heavy character. Look at the damage that this guy does, right? He does 1,629 damage, which is massive, and his gear is only at level 20 right now. So he's doing massive damage while his ability 2 also does huge damage. His willpower does 5,000 damage, which is crazy. And on top of that, he has a little bit of tankiness to him, a little bit of tank ability, right? With the special 2, if you use it at the right time, it mitigates a massive amount of damage from the enemy team. Negative 87 incoming damage at level 55. I'm pretty sure you can get that up to 90 or 95%, something along those lines. So if you're using his abilities at the right time, you can also use him as a tank. So that's another reason for Emerald Green Lantern to be on your team. So now you've got your DPS character, you've got your tank character, and the last character that you need on your team is a support hero. And when I say a support hero, I mean somebody that has good passive abilities. So my favorite passive ability in the entire game is Horrific Scarecrow. If you look at his abilities, his passive ability adjusts the opposing team power cost by +2. So essentially it costs them 2 more bars of power to do any attack, which also means that if it costs them 5 bars of power to do a 3-bar attack, they only get to do that twice as often, essentially, right? Because it's almost doubling how much that first ability costs. Additionally, he mitigates opposing team attacks, so that he's at -8% currently. He can get to -10%, so he can reduce the amount of incoming damage. As well as another passive ability of his is in his Fear Gas, his ability 2. If you read it, it says, creates a hazard that disables abilities. Hazard remains for 6.4 seconds. It also does about 4,000 damage, which is pretty damn good. So it does big damage, and it also makes it so the enemy team can't use their abilities for around 6 seconds. And it will be more than that when he gets to level 50. Maybe it'll be 10 seconds. Or sorry, 60. It'll maybe be 10 seconds. So he's a really good passive character. Additionally, another great passive character is Dr. Fate. He reduces the amount of power it costs your team to actually use your abilities. So he doesn't even have to be fighting, right? And he's still helping the character that's tagged in fighting. So most of the passive characters, you don't want more than one of them on your team. And that is because the threat level is based on that awesome passive ability. So the passive from one character is boosting up both your tank and your DPS to do as much damage and mitigate as much damage as possible throughout the game. So if you had more than 2 or more than one passive player on your team, then you're not fully utilizing what you could have had in a tank or in a DPS character. So just to list off the passive character, the support heroes, it would be Horrific Scarecrow, Dr. Fate, then we've got Unbreakable Cyborg could be counted as a passive because he can drain power from the enemy team, right? The Joker is an okay passive because if he dies, then he stuns the enemy team. And if you have someone like Batman on your team that can just jump in, knock out the character that's stunned, and then stun lock the next character with his special 2, that's going to be great, right? So he's an okay passive, maybe not the greatest. Let's see who else we have here. Then we've kind of got Soul Stealer Dr. Fate. And the reason I say Soul Stealer Dr. Fate is essentially he can swap health with the enemy team, right? So it's not necessarily that he's doing massive damage. He just swaps the health completely. So it's not that he's taking damage. It's not that he's doing damage. It's the fact that he can immediately tag in, swap health, and tag out again. Also, Soul Stealer Dr. Fate is fantastic because he can heal your teammates on his abilities. If you read it here, Fate also allows his teammates to heal from his Break of Life ability. So he's sick. And then the last one that I would suggest as a passive character on your team would simply be the Poison Ivies. My suggestion would personally be the Flora Poison Ivy because she's stronger. But if you read her passive abilities 2 and 3 disable victims' rush, evade, ranged, and jump attacks while dealing an extra damage for 4 seconds. So she can actually lock them in place. They can't move. And then you can tag in another character to do damage over time underneath them. So now you've got Poison Ivy and somebody else doing 2 sets of damage over time damage to that character that cannot move. So she's another great passive player. The last thing I'll say about beating overpowered teams is make sure that you're playing your characters properly. So what I mean by that is Emerald Green Lantern. Make sure that you don't just use his special 2, his shield / damage ability, whenever you get enough power for it. Save your power until the enemy team has enough power to do an ability against you. Use it, use your special 2, and then have the enemy team consequently use their ability against you, which you'll mitigate that damage for. If you just use his special 2, and they don't have any chance to actually do a special against you, then you essentially wasted his passive ability of mitigating that incoming damage, right? Same with his passive ability right here, which is the Green Lantern buffs active hero on tagging with stun on next attack, power bar gain, or critical attack. So you want to be making sure that if this Green Lantern's on your team, you want to be tagging in and out, in and out, in and out constantly to be making sure that you're using as many of his passive on tag-in abilities as possible. So for Mythic Wonder Woman, you want to be making sure that you're tagging her in whenever the enemy team's about to do massive damage to you, so you can use her bracelet block. You don't want to just be having her tagged in the entire time and fighting the main fight and then die and not be able to use bracelet block. Or you don't want to be knocking out any other enemy characters without Mythic Wonder Woman, because if you're knocking them out with Green Lantern, then you're missing out on her passive ability of being able to absorb the 50% attack from them when she knocks them out. So you just need to be making sure you're playing the characters correctly, make sure you have the correct characters on your team, and then you should be able to beat massively overpowered teams. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to show you me beating enemy teams whose threat level is over double my threat. Massively overpowered. I shouldn't have been able to beat them, just via threat, but by playing correctly and by having the correct characters on my team, I was able to take them out, not pretty easily, but easily enough that it wasn't that close.
Batman.
I want to do it. I'm gonna do it! Woo! So scared right now. I gotta get Batman out, like, ASAP. Fuck you! Fuck. Oh, shit. Telekinetic Gorilla Grodd is a goddamn monster!
Strike for strike, you're losing.
Come on, alright. Shit! Swap in, tag in. There's no way I win this. There's no way. Shit, don't call him back in. Come on. Come on. Get fucked on, monkey. Die. Come on. I can do this if I get the monkey out. I can do this if I can get the monkey out. If I don't get the monkey out, it's over. Tag in Wonder Woman. Oh, no. Come on. Fuck his ass up. Alright, we got this. We got this. Come on. I believe in us. Why don't you keep attacking when I tell you to keep attacking? Oh! Boom! We fucking beat that shit! Boom! What? That's nutty! Shield or shard rewards, like 100 each. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. I said that when you beat the overall, like, just any of them, like one, battle 6, 12, 18, 24 of any of the campaign missions, you should get 5 shards for beating them the first time, right? And then 1 shard after that. But just the first time that you beat them, you should be getting 5 shards or something awesome like that, you know? All right, we're gonna tag in him because he actually did some damage. Look at how much damage he does.
Be very afraid.
Pretty good damage, man. I need to tag in her so that she can use her shield ability. Oh my fucking god! Seriously, right out the gate, he's gonna kill her. Not even gonna use a. Oh god, she's actually dead. God damn it. Okay, so we need to actually just kill you, I think. Alright. Use it, use it, use it, use it, use it! Back up. Do one of those. And then hopefully he doesn't ult and he just uses a special on me. Come on. Use a special. Nice. Use the special. Alright, tag in. Do a couple of hits. Smack his face. Do a couple of hits. Then hopefully smack his face again. Okay, smack his face. Tag back in. Oh, he didn't even use his ultimate. Okay, I'm gonna tag out. Tag the fuck out. Okay, thank you.
Stop where you are.
Okay, come on. You can beat this. You can beat this. I believe in you, homie. Come on! Fuck his face! Boom! Got him! Alright, wow. Those aren't actually as good of XP capsules as I expected. Oh well. Got him. Nice. Alright. So sim this battle. Sim it one more time, and then I'll use them all on Wonder Woman. Nice. Collect these. I don't need to do that anymore, actually. I don't need to sim that fight anymore. And then apply capsule. Let's see. Damn, she actually goes up a whole level from that. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Alrighty guys, that is it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. You know, I got to try and read as many of those possible. If you like the video, maybe leave a like, maybe subscribe. If you haven't seen my Twitter, that's where I post when I'm going live, as well as any questions that I have about what video content you want coming up in the future. Also, you can tweet me with your rosters and ask which characters you should be focusing on, which characters you should have in your team. I also have a Twitch, which the link is in the description below, and that's where I post all of my video content for any games other than mobile, so any computer games or any console games. And last but not least, if you haven't checked out my Patreon and you want to support me that way, it's in the link above as well as in the description below. Alrighty, y'all, I will catch you in the next video. Peace, guys.